Hello and welcome to video 3. In this video, we're going to move through a lot of slides and we're going to learn some new things. But first, we're going to do some review of things we've already learned. So first, we have Q in 3, which we're going to review now. So you should have already been able to cue it. And now I will model it for you. Tammy missed her rear foot hair. Her straw tam emits, or if you say emits, missed, if, hissed, at. Riff-raff, hoot at her hats. Misfit hats suit her moosed hair. He met me. Nope, he met her. But we can also cue me. And I want you to notice how I add inflection and how I show things on my face. Because no one wants to watch someone cue that cues like this. Tammy missed her rear foot hair. Her straw tam emits mist if hissed at. That's boring. We don't want to be boring cuers, especially when oftentimes we're cueing with children, and a child isn't going to want to watch someone with no facial expressions. So now a lot of review words. So I'm going to just cue some kind of randomly from this chart. This chart has all the sounds we know so far, so it might be small on your screen. So we can cue meet, Murphy, the, there, thou, the, them, there, that made up word thuk, that, and this. We can cue foot, took, hook, rook, sook. We can cue mat, fat, tat. We can cue tattoo, hat, rat, Zach, that. We can cue mitt, fit, Tim, him, rim, Sims. We could cue rare. Oh, I wasn't cueing. Okay, we can cue mare. We can cue fair. But we can also cue Mary and fairy and tear and hair. And we can cue rare, but we can cue hairy as well as hair. So I want you to see how when I'm cueing an air word like hairy, I'm not going hairy and I'm not going hair-y. I'm bringing that 3-hand shape from the chin to the mouth, to the next vowel sound after the air sound. Mary, Harry, fairy. I'm not cueing Mary, fairy. I'm not doing that. I'm going straight from the chin to the mouth placement. So now we're going to cue in 4. So pause here for more sentence practice. This one has more hand shape 2, which is v, v, k, and z. So pause here. Now we're going to move on to lesson 9, where I will model cue in 4 for you. And we will do some practice with flicks and clusters. So we're not learning anything new yet. So for cue in 4, I will show it first without any liaisons. Then I will show you it with liaisons. He caught her foot's very rare feathers to scare at zoos is easy. He is cuckoo for Esther. It's rare for him to stare. Sit here at ease. And now with liaisons, I would cue he caught her foot's very rare feathers. So only between caught and her for that sentence. Caught her to scare at zoozizi. So between scare and at, scare at, just like with words like marry, where we go from chin to mouth, we can go from chin to throat. Scare rat, scare rat, and then zoozizi. So you see how I break the sentence up into consonant vowel pairs. It's not just words that we cue that way. We cue all sentences that way. To scare at zoos is easy. Zoos is easy. Now none of those sound like real words to me. And then I think that is it for liaisons in that cue-in. So now we're going to talk a little bit about flicks, and we're going to cue some together. So first we have oft, oft. There is a flick. Or we have soft, and surfed. Then we have serves, scarce, reeves, curves, eaves, moves, receives, removes, retrieves, and reserves. I think hand shape 5 and hand shape 2, as well as 3, have the most flicks of any hand shape, I think. Don't quote me on that, but there are many times when a word will have a flick with those 3 hand shapes. Then we have these crows. So between the z and the k, of these flick crows. And that shows how sometimes you need to flick between words to make it clear that there is more than one consonant sound happening at that location. So now we're going to do some clusters because these are tricky to get used to. So we will cue vexed, vexed, because the X sound sounds like X often in English. There are other ways we say the X sounds, but that is the most common and it is the only one you can cue right now. X, vexed. Or like in the word max, x, x, that is X, 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 max, vex. But we can cue vexed, vexed. Next is strict, strict, crass, crass, cracked, cracked, scams, steams, tracks, scream, acts, smacks, scheme, scheme, zooms, cream, charismatic. So that is an air word. Charismatic. Again, it's not charismatic. It's charismatic. Activity, accessory, or accessory, depending on how you say it. Exterior, that's an ear word. Exterior. Satisfactory, satisfactory. Reactive, retriever. Physicist, traffic, reactive, again for some reason, affect, caustic, rest rooms, smoother, access, tractors, reverts, correct, sixes. So sixes, because we break that word up into its consonant vowel pairs. So it's not, the X is still X, but we break it up into two different syllables. That word eluded me for a second. So six, but sixes. Sick, sizz, sixes. Mavericks, masters, actor, and reversed. scatter, and then finally, hickory, hickory. And now we're going to talk a little bit about plurals because I like linguistics. So we're going to talk about where they come from. So there is the inflectional, and inflection can both mean the way we talk, like our rhythm and our pitch and our things like that, our inflection when we talk. But inflectional means we're adding, in this case, a morpheme to the end of a word to pluralize it. So when we add an S or an ES to the end of a word, that is inflectional. Then we have the OE, that is Old English, zero plural, for words like deer, sheep, fish, moose, and elk. We don't add anything. It is both singular and plural. Then we have the Latin, which is when you add an I to the end. Syllabus or syllabus becomes my hand is not cooperating this morning. Syllabus becomes syllabi. Ovum becomes ova. And then criteria becomes criterium. Wowie. Those are Latin plurals. Then we have the Old English mutated plural, which is in words like goose, which becomes geese, tooth, which becomes teeth, and then foot, which becomes feet. And then we have Old English EN, which is in words like brethren, children, and oxen. So those are some ways we pluralize words in English. Now for lesson 10. We're going to start with activity 6 for some practice. And then we're going to move on to lesson 11. So, activity 6 is sentences. So pause here to cue these. You can cue them with liaisons if they're there, which I do recommend you do. Or if you're not there yet and you're not comfortable doing that, you can cue them without. So go ahead and pause, and after I will cue them with you. Number 1, that city is messy. That city is messy. 2, Carrie has her hat there. Carrie has her hat there. 3, her mirror sits there. Mirror is controversial because people say it all types of ways. So I say mirror, mirror. That's what I say. But you may say mirror, and that's totally fine. Cue it like you say it. If you become a transliterator, you will need to cue how other people say it. So it is important to understand dialects a little bit because that will help you better match the speaker. 4, he saw her hair. 5. Sister has memories. He, sorry, 6. He fears meat. 7. Her hem is fixed. Remember, X often is ks, ks, and ed is often t, so fixed. 8. That is his risk mix test. That is his risk mix test. And 9, we have he has to have this met. He has to have this met. And then finally, her very meek, hammy hamsters. So that is activity 6. Now, moving on to lesson 11, where we will learn a new vowel placement, and we will practice that vowel placement with the R sound, R, with hand shape 3. So we have side forward, which is 1 inch forward from the side position. So if my side is here, side forward would be, it's not a crazy movement. It's not huge. It's not that big. It's very small. This placement makes the sounds O, like oh. I didn't know that. Oh. And ah. Ah. See how my mouth is so open for ah? It's like ah. Ah. And then for side down, it is a 1/4 inch to 3/4 of an inch down from side position. So that's it. The cue notation for side forward is SF for side forward, and the cue notation for side down is SD for side down. To remember this, I use the word Obama because this placement uses all the vowels in his name. Obama. O, A, O, A, So now to practice with that, we have mo, folks, toe, home. See how I did ho? Then I move back for that M sound. Home. Home. Same with folks. Folks. Because the fo is side forward, but then we need to be back to side position for the ks, ks, because there are no vowels with it. Folks. Folks. Home. Home. And if I turn, you can see it maybe better. Folks. Folks. And home. 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 Rome. So, for so and for mo, the first word we cued here, we stay forward. Mo, I'm not moving back to side because there are no more sounds. Mo. If I went back, it would be like mome or the word moat. But for mo and for toe and for so, I'm ending in that side forward position. Though, then we have coke, where I will move back for the k sound. Okay, so now for ah, which I write as A-H. Ah, and look how open my mouth is. It's not aw. Aw, ah. Aw at the chin is like A-W, like raw, R-A-W, raw, versus ma, ma, maw. That's the difference between the chin placement, aw, and the side placement, ah. And we will work through that more because that is hard to hear. So we have ma, fa, ta, ha, ra, sa, tha, ka, va, and za. And now for we have mother, fuzz, tough, hut, rudder. Again, T's between vowels sound like a D sound, but we cue them as a T. Rudder, summer, the, and custer, custer, vut, and the. See how for the, I'm staying down, inside down. Just like with mo, where we end at side forward, we do not come back. Same thing for side down. The, because if I go back up, I'm adding another sound. So like zuzz, the versus zuzz. See how when I go back up, it adds that sound? We don't want to do that unless that sound is there. So now we will do side vowels plus r. So there are two things that you need to know. Or and for and far are done at the side. So or and are cued the same way. So we go forward with our hand shape 5, O, and then we go back. And before we get back, just before we get back, we want to be in hand shape 5. So for, are, or are, or are. That needs to be like memorized, like ear and air and or and for and are. Or, are, air, ear. All do similar things, right? They start at a placement with the 5 hand shape, ear, air, or, are, and then change to the 3 hand shape at a new location. So we want to make sure that we're changing before we arrive at the side. Air. I'm not cueing air. There's no hand shape 5 at the side. It is only hand shape 3 at the side. So same for or and for. I change to hand shape 3 when I'm on the way back, but just before I arrive. You don't want to go for. That's not right. It's not for. It's for. 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 So now let's cue these words. We have stork, stork, forced, or, more, for, sore, horror. So for that, because it is 2 syllables, I'm going horror, horror. Just like with error, where we go from the chin to the mouth, error, we do the same with or and air words. So, horror, we go from side forward to the mouth. Horror. And you can think of it like horror. Then we have roar, for, zora, zora, star, farmer, farthest, farther, sorts, from, form, mortar, roast, arctica, rose, start, heart, and farm. Those will take some practice getting used to, but for now, let's move on to some new flicks we can cue now. So we have forced, forced, coarse, tuft, huffed, karst, stoved, scuffed, stuffed, source, resource, ruffed, carves, ear, heart. Because if I didn't flick in ear heart, it would look like ear art. So you need that flick to show the r and the h, because side forward and side down both start at the side. So to show that, we need to flick ear art. Sophomores, and then utmost. So those are new words we can flick now with the side forward and the side down positions. So now another cue in 5. So pause here and then I will cue it. And here I added some dashes. And those dashes are where you should be doing liaisons. I did not mark all of the liaisons, but those are ones you should cue for this cue in. So pause now if you need more time, and we will go through it in the next lesson in a few slides. So, lesson 12, we're going to do review of that cue in. We're going to talk about what we call R-colored vowels, also known as rhotic sounds. And that's rhotic, R-H-O-T-I-C, rhotic, means R-colored. And then we're going to do some practice with the very many vowel sounds we have learned so far. So, now to review cue in 5. Moms, former, mums are at home. Mary sees it. Father sees Osama's toes too. Test me, sister. So now for our colored vowels. We learned them all already. So we have air, ear, or, and R. And basically, R colored means that the R sound is going to impact the way you hear the vowel before the R. And that is because R in American English is a liquid sound. And that just means R kind of takes on the qualities of a vowel, which is why it is like built in to air and ear and or and R, because it impacts how we hear the vowel before it. There is another sound in English that is a liquid, and it is the L sound that also impacts the way we hear sounds before it. So now for some vowel practice. The ah and the aw and the ah are often hard for people to differentiate. So we're going to practice. And in my dialect of English, I don't really hear the difference all that much, but when I cue and when I say words, I can feel it. And by that I mean with aw, like in raw, I can feel the tightness of my mouth. Aw. Versus ah, my mouth is more open. So I can feel that tightness, that aw, when I say those words. Even if I don't really hear a difference, I can feel it. So let's start with some ah words. We have ha, like ha ha ha. We have hot, rot, otter, mom, Tom, mommy, Tommy. Notice for mommy and Tommy, I am going straight from side forward to the mouth. So mommy, I'm not doing mom, I'm doing me. And same thing for Tommy, me, not Tom, And then father. And you might say these words differently than me. You might say father with the aw. So pay attention to your mouth and what it looks like if you can't hear the difference. Then we have aw words. So we have raw. It's not raw. Raw versus raw. Do you see it on my mouth? Mauve, fought, father. See, I put that word in both lists because you may very well say it that way. Then we have haughty. Now for a. Ma'am, kale, hat, raft, that, fat, cat, and mat. So those may be tricky and you may need more practice with those. So now for lesson 13, I want to do some ear training is what I call it. So I'm going to say sounds, but I'm not going to show them on the screen. So I want you to not watch me because I will still be cueing for access, but I want you to listen and not watch and see if you can cue the sounds that I'm saying. Ready? Mo. How would you cue mo? Remember, don't watch me because I'm modeling it still. So I will say it 3 times, and on the 3rd time, I want you to watch me so you can see if you were doing it right. So let's start again with mo. I will say it 3 times. I'm going to be cueing it each time, but only watch me on the 3rd time. Mo. What about summer? Right, it's summer. We're going 2 side down with the hand shape 3. Sa. And then from there, we're going straight to the mouth with the hand shape 5 for the mer. Summer. Now, fuzz. What about mother? Mother. Now we'll do a few more. Home. Now, vote. And finally, we'll do folks. And now to learn hand shape 4. Hand shape 4 represents 3 sounds, but one of them we don't really use, so I won't be spending too much time on it, but you should know it just in case. So this hand shape is b, and hua. Like, it's a very like 1960s transatlantic accent. Hua, like when people say white or when. People don't really talk like that, at least where I'm from. And in my 9 years working, I've never had to cue that for a consumer because it's never come up. So we don't focus on it, but you should know it. So, ba, and hua. I remember this with the word bunny, bunny. And we have all 4 fingers together with our thumb tucked in, and the cue notation is 4 for hand shape 4. So we can cue B, Bert, beer, boomer, balk, back, bear, book, banter, bicker, bone, and box. Lastly, we have but. Then for the n sound, we have knee, nerf, near, noon, gnaw, neck, nair, nook, Nancy, nifty, known, or just no, nah, and nut. So now Q&6, which we will do at the start of the next video. I'm at an hour-ish now before editing, so I want to make sure the video isn't too long. So that is Q&6, and we will cover it next video.